Make sure to clear out those questions as soon as you can so I start seeing the fresh ones in there when you load them up. Thank you. All right, cool. And with that, again, like I said, let me get that YouTube intro out of the way. Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And today we have an exclusive conversation with the one, the only singer-songwriter, Miss Lucy Dacus. She is about to embark on a brand new tour, which we'll talk about. Her new album is out now, which we gave a review to recently. A lot of you guys have been loving it. I've been enjoying it quite a bit too. And we're going to dig into that and anything else that comes up in this conversation. Lucy, thank you for coming through. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You really turned on YouTube voice.
Thank you.
There's like a before and after.
Yeah,
you really were like, I'm doing it now.
It's like a professional, just like switch sort of thing that happens.
It's your job.
I think it also comes with just like years of being before this, like in public radio. I was just like in public radio for a while before all this.
Yeah.
So
YouTube voice and radio voice are maybe cousins.
YouTube voice, radio voice, podcast voice. You know, they're too closely related.
Podcast voice is like this.
Exactly. They're too closely,
which is cousins to ASMR.
Yes. Do you feel like not to embark, my ADHD brain wants to ask you, do you feel like Billie Eilish is the pop equivalent to ASMR?
Oh my God. I think that is a take I will think about. Maybe, yeah. I definitely like listen in bed to go to sleep, even though maybe that's not what it's meant to be for. Yeah, she's so close to the mic.
Yeah, I feel like in an inadvertent way, like the popularity of ASMR has like permeated just the general sonic landscape, the general landscape of just like audio, consumption, to where it in subtle ways like that, it's almost like bleeding into pop music just a tad with the way certain vocals and things can be kind of mic'd. And even the way certain bits of the instrumentals on her last record are produced, like the bass, the way it kind of reverberates, especially on headphones, like feels very ASMR-esque.
Yeah, that would be good news for me because I'm like chronically dehydrated. So I'm always like in the mic, and editing, like when we're recording records, is always like such a horrible thing to do because of that.
So that's basically incentive to leave it in.
Yeah, just leave it in.
Just leave it in.
Sound disgusting.
or even sample and then just turn an entire song just out of that.
To mouth noises.
So with the new record out and there being a few weeks to kind of digest and build up to this tour that you're about to embark on, how do you feel about the reception so far of what you've taken in of it? Or have you mostly been like just trying to stay away from it because of how mixed it might be, or too many positive thoughts, negative thoughts, or maybe just is it a distraction to take those sorts of things in for you?
I feel like I see it when I see it, and I am pleased. I think that it doesn't like hit that deep. I think I'm more preoccupied with like what my family thinks about it and like what my friends think about it, and honestly what like the fans that have been fans from the beginning think about it, because I like really trust their opinions because they've been like on the journey the whole time. So yeah, sometimes like someone's little tweet from somebody I remember from like 2016 being like, this is your best yet, like that means more to me than like a very nice thing that somebody said. But I don't know, like I guess I'm pleased, in short.
When you're talking about things like family, are these people who, when you're, I guess, kind of demoing or starting to like really work out the evolution of a record like the one that you just came out with, are these people privy to your process in the midst of all of this as well? Or at the point at which they hear it, is it mostly like close to done?
Pretty much close to done. I think that I don't want to leave any space for their opinions. That like family, friends I show like in process, and like other musicians I definitely show my songs to, but family I kind of just want to finish it and be like, this is it. It's just how it is. And we will now embark upon understanding each other better.
Reading into some of the comments that you've had on the record, I got the sense that maybe due to the pandemic or for other reasons, you had to sit on this record for a bit before you could finally release it. Is that the case?
Yeah, we recorded it August 2019. So almost like 2 years later
Yeah.
has it come out.
So, did having to, hunker down on that LP before you could finally put it out for the amount of time that you did that give you like any more perspective on it when it finally did come out, or was there any sort of like anxiety with having to sit on it for so long?
I think this time around I really like remembered how finishing a record is just giving up, because you can work on something forever. You don't have to finish anything. And so it got to the point in mixing where I was like, I guess this is good. I guess it's done. And we mixed with Sean Everett, who I love, and he's definitely like a go down the rabbit hole forever type of guy. So you just have to one day say like, it's done.
And is I guess like is that sort of like an energy level thing that you reach where it's just like you've kind of struggled to a certain point where any further past that point would kind of like give you a mental breakdown, or I guess to which point are you kind of like balancing my sanity versus like the quality level that I want to reach on the record?
I feel like I have like what I imagined always in mind, and I'm like always going for that. And honestly, this was pretty close. Like the record turned out almost exactly how I pictured it would, and I'm happy about that. But I think that I lose sight of like, does this work? Is this literally a song? Can you listen to this and enjoy it? And I have to just trust other people, because when you listen to something like 100 times because you're turning down a guitar and turning up the bass and then changing your mind and turning it back, like all those minute differences don't really mean anything. So I have to like show it to a friend and have them be like, yep, it functions as music.
Was there anything, I guess, extra that you had to take into account for with this new record in your process of crafting it, considering, I guess, just how thematic and conceptual this album was in a sense, in terms of like the places inspiration wise that you were pulling from in these songs, how personal a lot of them were, and in a way kind of formatting them lyrically in a way where they read almost like scenes from films, I mean, even though each of these tracks thematically and narratively are coming from very different places, they all kind of like function almost on that same basic principle in a really consistent way.
Yeah, I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there was something like formally that changed. This time around, I definitely like showed songs to people that they were about, and like made sure that they were cool with it being on a record, which I'd never done before because I haven't been this specific before. So that was a cool experience. And on the flip side, there are some people that I didn't show the songs that are about them, and that has been weird. I've gotten some feedback, and
Like you
I don't know.
you didn't show them, but they found out after the fact.
Yeah, like the record came out, and now I'm hearing from people, which is what I feared and what I like had kept myself from getting into with my other records. But yeah, this one, it feels like there's like a bigger ramification in my personal life than ever before. I'm trying to just hold to the fact that it's like worth it, and also I'm allowed to like tell the stories from my own life. I'm allowed to say what happened in my own life. But yeah, so that has been different. Production wise, I wanted to use like kind of for the first time like piano, acoustic guitars, and synths, because they're like warm and nostalgic, and I wanted to stay away from them because so many people, well, not too many, but some people were like calling me Americana, which I thought was really lazy and not accurate. And so I was like, Historian had to be like distorted guitars, fully electric. Also, my mom plays piano, like she's a piano teacher, so that sound is just like has a connotation to me. But it fit with this because it was so much about childhood. And I thought that like those instruments were particularly like beautiful this time around.
Yeah, I mean, that what you sort of referred to earlier was actually one of my questions, considering just like how personal some of these stories are, not just to yourself, but to some of the people involved. And I guess, without, I guess, sort of making anything about that process more difficult than it needs to be, obviously. But, what was, I guess, generally the process like for those tracks where you did reach out to some of the people who were kind of involved in those stories and just being like, are you fine with this? Like this
Yeah.
story being told, like, was it more of an issue of comfortability, or was there also like elements to like, am I retelling this part accurately? Do you remember it like this?
Yeah. Christine and Thumbs are the two that there were like big conversations with my two friends. And they definitely like affected our friendship in a huge way. And it was mostly just to say, like, are you okay with being represented? And also, like, this thought took a lot for me to say, and you're the main person that I want to hear it. It's almost like an afterthought that I would put on an album. Like, the point of this was so that I could talk to you. In Thumbs, yeah, I double checked some facts in there, and I originally wrote like he hadn't seen you since the 8th grade, but then she was like was the 5th grade, so had an editor for that one.
When you're talking about, I guess, like these kinds of stories, even though you kind of illustrated the question I'm about to ask there, are there points at which where you feel like maybe some details like that don't need to be so accurate so that there is kind of like room to question, who's involved or what it's about? Are there reasons to kind of like smudge certain details so that there's, I guess, maybe more of a level of anonymity there, considering how personal some of the stories are and can be?
I would like to do that in the future. This time around, I don't know why. I think I wanted it to be as true to life. I mean, honestly, it was for me, and this was such an extension of how I journal, which is so journalistic, I guess, where I mostly just like say what happened. And a lot of the details were like taken from journal entries. So I was like, why lie if it's already really funny? Like in VBS, there's a lot of details that I could have changed, or Brando also, but I was like, these are already good details. But I want to get into writing more fiction, or I want to get into lying more, like just telling people lies about whether it's true or not.
No, I think that's completely warranted. VBS was a track I actually wanted to ask you about specifically, like considering the setting of that story. Again, I imagine like a Christian Bible camp. There's probably like a wealth of details over that course of time that inspired that song that you could have pulled from, but you pulled from the details that you did. I guess like in a moment like that, when you're dealing with something that honestly could be an entire film or probably an entire book in and of itself, like how do you decide what to keep in and what to keep out?
Yeah, I wrote a few extra verses, and it started to take it more in the direction of like dissecting what VBS meant, when I really just wanted to tell the story and use that as a setting. I didn't want that to be like overpowering the whole religious thing. And I feel like religion comes in as details throughout the record, but there's not really a song like about religion. Because at this point it was like a setting, like that's how I remember it. And that song is about my first boyfriend that I met at church camp, and how absurd it was that he was snorting nutmeg in the bunk bed of the cabin there. And that made him like the bad boy. It was like a rumor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to save him. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, as long as we're digging into some of this personal stuff about Richmond, just basically, what it means is kind of like a setting for you personally, as kind of like your this location and this area that you grew up in. I know you've been sort of out of that area specifically for a while, but what about that place, I guess, kind of drew you back to it, for this record, specifically even for like the Hot and Heavy music video?
I just realized that your background is changing colors, and
Yeah.
that is freaking me out.
Sorry. It
But
goes from blue to a very like vague purplish pink color, and yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, it's great.
Thank you.
But Richmond is kind of like at a point felt like everything to me. It felt like I had zero perspective because my entire world was just Richmond. I wanted to live there my whole life. I was extremely proud. I live in Philly now. I moved for many reasons. I expect I'll move back. It's still different than any place. I mean, I guess everybody like has a hometown. Probably it's a familiar feeling that I'm trying to express, but I don't know. Like going there kind of feels like seeing your ex in public. Like I'm a little embarrassed. I'm extremely curious. I still love it so much. I feel as though I have occasionally been wronged by it, but I also like forgive it. And I don't know. It's where I grew up. So this album was about stories from growing up, and it just felt right. The Hot and Heavy music video is at the Bird Theater, which is like one of the only theaters I think in the world that was built as like a movie palace. And it's just really beautiful in there. And I like when I went on dates there from like middle school through college, and everybody in Richmond knows this spot. And yeah, a lot of my family members are in the video. I just like pulling people from my life into the foreground. It makes me feel less lonely.
Yeah, I mean, the love that you're talking about feels like a two-way street, because I mean, the comments on that YouTube video are just like filled with people who are like, yeah, Richmond rocks, and I love that she's from Richmond, and I love seeing the Bird Theater. And how does it make you feel personally just to not just Richmond as a place, but I guess as a community to, I guess, sort of see that response on the internet to what you're doing, and seeing people like, I guess feeling pride, considering that you're from there and doing well artistically.
It's cool. I mean, I love Richmond. Like no mistaking that. And seeing people like be proud of me feels really good. I don't know. It feels really simple. Like I don't have to overcomplicate Richmonders being proud of me. But yeah, I've actually been surprised, honestly, that the internet is that kind. Especially, I feel like YouTube, we were talking about this a little bit before the stream, but YouTube can be a treacherous place. I don't wade in the waters that often.
No,
but
I agree. It can be. That's why I was surprised to see just like how not just positive, but also just localized a lot of the comments
yeah.
were, like, just in terms of like the Richmond stuff. There were a few in there who were like, yeah, Lucy's mom's a piano teacher and she teaches me piano or taught me piano. And I saw your freaking dad in the comments, who has a banger on his YouTube channel about like turning 60, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if you've heard that smash. I think it's waiting for its viral moment on YouTube.
I can't believe we're talking about that. Yeah, I mean, Ben Dacus is a champ, and so's my mom. They're both champs.
Yeah.
And they do show up. They have figured out all the places on the internet. I don't think they have TikToks, but I wouldn't put it past them. They're hip folks, and I think they're both just really proud, and I think that they like to interact with people. My mom would be in this chat. She's been in plenty of chats before, just like, hey honey, I'm here with grandma, we're so proud of you. It's very wholesome. So yeah, I don't know, maybe people are on good behavior because they're familiar with like that energy.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I mean, your dad's definitely a super fan. I saw in the background of the video he had a historian hat in the video too.
He wears that all the time. He'll also like go and tell people like, my name's Ben Dacus. like, and people are like, oh, okay. But he makes friends wherever he goes.
Considering that video, that passion for what you're doing, your mother's own background, would it be fair to say that you didn't so much like enter into music as much as you were growing up? It was just sort of like the atmosphere you were already just like kind of existing in. Yeah,
it didn't feel like an option.
Yeah.
It was like an everyday sort of thing. I kind of thought everybody had that as much as like eating.
Yeah, and I guess like I suppose like what was that moment like, or maybe some of the reception like from your own relatives when you decided to start taking music as a career more seriously, I suppose.
I don't know. I didn't hear from a lot of them. I will tell a story about one of my uncles. My dad's from Mississippi, and we went to Thanksgiving one year, and I was saying that I was applying to like art schools. He like never speaks. He like sits in an armchair and never speaks. And he like spoke up to be like, "You're never gonna go anywhere in life." He's like, "You didn't play a sport. You're not gonna get a scholarship. Like, you're not gonna get any. What are you gonna do with art? Paint a picture?" And he was just like really, really mean to me. And sometimes I think about him and how I'm doing well. And I haven't like seen him in a long time, but I feel like next time I see him, I'm gonna have to make a decision about how much I'm gonna stunt on him. Like if I'm just gonna hold my tongue and keep like the secret stunt within,
No, no,
or
flex,
no,
flex,
flex. Okay,
flex
yeah,
on them.
yeah. I don't know if it would work. I think it'd be a self-indulgent flex, but I don't know.
Honestly,
Some of
what
the
flex is not self-indulgent?
true.
Honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like, sure. I mean, you make a point that his world probably exists entirely outside of who would see that as a flex, but it's still a
Yeah,
flex. And
yeah.
honestly, like, how is it not a flex? You're doing like talk show performances, you're on like NPR, you're getting interviewed by this person and that person, internet's busiest music nerd. Why not? It's a flex. It is a flex. Is he?
I'll show him
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I'll
No,
be
he would
like,
have no idea what the hell
you
this is.
know. No, he would probably think I was even weirder. I'm not gonna lie.
You know, referring back to some of the conversation earlier about the instrumental direction of this LP, and just how varied it is, honestly. I wanted to ask you, sonically, what drove you into the direction that you went in for Partner in Crime? Like, especially considering like the vocal effects that you laid onto that track, because I mean it's sort of an unlikely sound for a lot of singer songwriters to adopt to their record.
Well, it was a placeholder. It was not like an idea just in and of itself, because I had a vocal injury in June of 2019. I had to be silent for all of July, like fully silent. And then August is when we recorded, and so I was silent until like 3 p.m. every day. And then I'd warm up and I'd sing until 5 p.m. and then I'd be silent until I went to sleep. So I was like only making sound and only singing 2 hours a day. And so like maybe a week into recording, I was trying to get Partner in Crime and it just wasn't hitting. We thought we were going to have to retrack everything, but what you hear on the record is the vocals that we got from that time, and luckily they sound good enough, I think. But that one, we started to like play the guitars and the bass to the like auto-tuned vocal, and I was like, let's just push it farther and keep it because it makes so much sense with the theme of the song. Like it's about making yourself seem more perfect so that someone will be attracted to you. Also, it's like I've spent the whole record not being auto-tuned. Like people know that I can know the sound of my voice without it. So it felt like it was like a choice. But yeah, I think it was just like playful and fun.
And what about the passage that you had going where it seemed like you had invited just like a large group of people into the studio space to back up that acoustic number that you had? Was that whole situation like super casual, spur of the moment, or had you like worked out some vocal harmony like arrangements for the whole thing, or did it just come together more naturally?
Yeah, no arrangements at all. I just like texted a bunch of people. We were in Nashville, so we have a lot of friends that do music, and so I invited a lot of singers, but some non-singers too. And we taught them the song. We sang it through once, and then we tried to take, and then we tried another take, and that second full take is what you hear on the record, and it's like not edited at all, and it's just all of us in one room, and it's maybe like 15 people, and yeah, it was great. Phoebe and Julian were there because earlier that day we sang on Graceland 2 and I Know the End from Phoebe's record, and Favor on Julian's record, and they also sang on Please Stay that day. And the day before is when we sang on Haley Williams's record. We were just getting a lot of shit done. But then like Mitski came and Liza Ann came. My friend Allie Thibodeau, who's been my friend forever, came from Richmond. My friend Marin was there. Harrison from Phoebe's band plays the more like leady guitar. So yeah, we just set up like a couple mics and pushed record, and it's like I thought it was gonna be my be my least favorite song because it's kind of like campfirey and like cute, but I think it's like one of my favorites.
Damn, you're rolling fucking deep on that track.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is good. I keep good company, I think.
Yeah, to sort of maybe finalize some of the questions that I had on just some of the themes and concepts behind these tracks, I wanted to ask you specifically about the closer, because I mean it's a huge track, it's a lengthy track. You have a lot to say on the song as well, and it seems like you do your damnedest to like bring it all together there, you know. And I guess like in your own head, what I guess was it like in terms of what you're trying to conceptualize there, when you were like, I have all these different experiences from my past, based off of these journals that I'm bringing together on this record, and now I need some sort of like almost like I guess a passageway through which it all kind of makes sense, or almost like a gallery in which it can all exist or whatever. And it seems like you're kind of wrapping it up a little bit on that record. And I guess like when all these tracks come together and it all gets kind of stamped with that song, like I guess what does all of it kind of add up to for you?
I think actually like it's the end of that song that I really think about, because yeah, it's based on a story that kind of like contains all of the themes that I talk about on the record, and it's really long, so there's space to kind of like build through sonically and like cover all the touchstones of what we already did production wise and bust it out a little bit more. But the very end is like the only part of the album that is fiction, where I wrote like a alternate ending to the story that happened in real life, because I had this friendship with somebody who I think there was like something romantic going on, but I wasn't out to myself. I didn't really see it for what it was, and I think she like wanted to maybe embark upon something, and I didn't do it. And so I kind of like wrote this alternate ending where we actually did prioritize each other and keep knowing each other and like run away or something. Though I think of the characters in the song as like a little younger than we actually were. But yeah, it's last because honestly, I didn't know if people would hear like an 8-minute song in the middle of a record and keep listening. Like I was worried people would get exhausted, so it just felt like a finale.
I want to ask you about, I guess, religion from a personal perspective, because as you were saying earlier, there's no point on the album where it's just like Lucy versus Christianity or anything like that. It sort of comes up here and there in sort of like subtle ways. And there are, spots throughout the record where you're not wrestling with religion itself, but you're more wrestling with sort of like the I guess sort of like the notions and I guess sort of like the points of view that being, in that is sort of like, ingrained within you, and you're starting to question it a little bit, or it's putting you in situations where you're, kind of at a fork in the road, and, you have your preconceived notion, but then you're almost veering in another direction, or you're kind of questioning that direction. To this day, where does spirituality sit for you? And, is your religious upbringing something that you still like value and still gain a lot from, or do you feel like you've, kind of like, distance yourself from it personally and emotionally and, perspective wise, as you've aged?
Yeah. Which way to answer this? I was talking to my mom about it recently because she like isn't totally pleased with everything around this record, and she told me she talked to some of like the matriarchs that raised me in the church that I still like love, and apparently they were saying like we did nothing but love her, like why is she so hurt by this? And that kind of broke my heart because I do carry like a lot of really beautiful things from my youth and from the church I grew up in, like learning about patience and forgiveness and like kindness at a really young age. I still think about all that. Like, I think there were some principles that were really key, and I met a lot of people who like loved me and I like love back. Um, but in terms of like being a Christian, I'm not anymore. But I think it was more like I had a faith, and the confines of that kept growing, and to the point that the limit did not exist. And so I was like, words aren't really going to do it, I don't think. And I don't think that doctrine is really going to do it either. So it's not like I went from faith to nothing. It was like faith just kind of like became too big to actually conceptualize. And I don't know if I believe in God, and I don't claim to know anything. But yeah, I do tarot. So that feels like a completely different thing. That's more like a Rorschach test, but I don't know. It's the closest thing to like a practice, I guess.
It's something. It's
something. It's fun. It's really fun.
I wanted to ask you before we start getting into some of the viewer questions that we've gotten. You're on the cusp of jumping into this tour. Considering like in terms of the indie space, you're one of the first big tours back from the pandemic. Like, are you nerves right now? Are you feeling confident after practices? Like, what's going through your mind at this moment?
Well, we had first practice today, and we leave on Thursday. We have a short one where we're like doing this tour with Bright Eyes that we confirmed 2 years ago. And so we're like, it's kind of weird that the first shows since the album coming out are like opening gigs, but I think they're going to be great. Obviously, Bright Eyes are, legends, and but it also kind of takes like the pressure off. It's like their show, so if we just fuck up, it doesn't matter that much. But for like our tour in the fall, I'm so excited. Because that's like one of the things that you can't fake. Like, people showing up to a show, you have to decide to be there. Like, so much on the internet, it's like incidental, like scrolling, like there's an algorithm. I don't know what to think of all these things, but if someone buys a ticket, it's like, I don't know, they care enough to show up. And so I miss being able to look at people and be like, thank you. It's like one of my favorite things that I get to do in this job is just like actually say thanks to the people that are making it possible. So yeah, I'm nervous. I'm probably gonna cry. We played one show. We played Red Rocks, and I ugly cried. It was not good. It was extremely bad sounding. But I don't know. People tend to love it when you fall apart. So I'm just trying to remember that.
I think it's got to be a powerful feeling to feel like you're back, in terms of doing what, musicians are known to do. So
Music.
Yeah. Performing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, who do you main in Smash?
You don't want to ask me
I
that.
do want to ask. I do want to ask you that. I want to ask you that.
No, I don't play Smash. I am sorry. It was a misleading tweet. I know. So my last name's Dacus. It's a dash attack cancel up smash. Yeah. I know that because my last name's Dacus, and so people will say that at me. I have lots of friends that play Smash. I never grew up with like video games at all, and I also like I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of cartoons, so like animation in general is like I'm a baby when I'm interacting with it. Wait, I have a question for you.
What?
If you listen to the record and you heard
Wait,
the lyrics,
do you think I didn't listen to the record? I'm totally just making any of this up.
that would be so impressive. But you called the record Cerebral.
Yes.
And there's a lyric in Brando
Yeah.
where I say, "You called me cerebral. I didn't know what
Yeah,
you meant."
I know. I figured I understand that, and other people have pointed that out, but I figured, or I thought that wasn't a biggie, considering that the context in which you were called cerebral there was much different than a review. Like, I'm sorry. Would you have preferred something else other than cerebral in the review?
Yeah, I think you have to just call me pretty
Okay, sorry.
instead.
Lucy, the prettiest
No, don't.
songwriter out there, Dacus. I'm sorry I called you cerebral.
I'm
I
kidding. I'm
apologize.
just putting you on the spot because you put me on the spot about my Smash main, which I don't even have.
Thank you.
So
Well,
I think we're equal.
It's cool. Again, I thought it was a different context, so I thought it was fair game. It wasn't a tease. It wasn't a jab.
Honestly, people have been calling me cerebral my whole life. I'm trying to be less cerebral. I'm trying to have like an empty head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to bimbo Lucy
Yeah.
is this part of myself I've been trying to embrace. I've been like wearing like bows in my hair and just like eating watermelon and not thinking about anything, and it's hard. I think so many thoughts and I want to have less.
I think that is, and this is coming from somebody who also kind of struggles with this as well, and tries to be less cerebral sometimes too. I think that's a cerebral person's view of not being cerebral. Like I feel like there's
Damn.
cerebral. There's probably like a spectrum, but there's probably that's like there's like cerebral and then there's visceral. And I feel like those gut, not thinking about it, I put no thought into doing this at all, actions. I think the best way to be visceral is to put as little thought into doing whatever it is you've chosen to do, and just like fucking go for it. Rely completely on energy. Just like,
I think I'm trying to get into that. I feel like I'm approaching that in a creative way.
Yeah.
Maybe in like 2 albums it'll be really visceral, but I like that like distinction between like having visceral and cerebral as a dichotomy.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I mean, there's probably like other things that come into play or other directions that you could go into, but like I think trying to be as to me, generally speaking, like cerebral is action of the mind and visceral is just action of the body, whatever the body would respond to. Like, are you appealing to the physical or are you appealing to the mental? I guess is sort of like, the way that you could look at it. And, musically speaking, like, I don't know, like a cerebral ambient album, experimental prog synth drone that lasts for 30 minutes, or you have like a visceral, like EDM style, everybody's pumping their fists up in the air and everyone's on, Xans and just like sweating all over each other, and there's like little variations in between all of that. You have artists that kind of sit in between at some point, but like, you can just slide aggressively from one side to the other and you kind of get those two different perspectives in my own view.
Yeah.
And, I promise you, the moment you come out with a record that's not cerebral, I won't call it cerebral. In fact, I'll be scared of using that term for every record that you do into the future. So you've officially,
or like you're the arbiter of whether it's cerebral or not. Honestly, don't look forward to it. I'm gonna have trouble my whole life not being cerebral, I think. But I don't know. It's a good goal.
Honestly, I feel like there are struggles that come with being too visceral, because then you're just like, not planning, not functioning, not seeing anything that's coming down the pipe, probably just like not very well put together, but maybe you're more free spirited, I mean, everything has its pros and cons.
True.
So, all right. I want to start throwing in some of the viewer questions here before we send Lucy Pretty Dacus on her way. Spud Death, very great username, wants to know that, they comment and they ask about loving the theater motif of the record and the cover in general. And they want to know if you have any sort of like favorite theater experiences or movies that you've seen that sort of in your memory have a large impact, or maybe even might, I guess, like impact your process as a writer.
Um, Kind of like three quick answers. One, my mom's a musical theater pianist, and
Mm.
so I grew up in theaters. And so that's like my first access to stages
Mm.
ever. And I feel like they just are really homey, comfortable places for me, specifically the theaters in Richmond, where the cover and the Hot and Heavy video are the same one, the Bird Theater. And then also we did our Colbert performance at Virginia Repertory Theater, where I did a bunch of shows. I was not good at acting. I just liked being around and like making something happen out of nothing. But then I've seen the scene from Mulholland Drive so many times where the singer is singing and then I don't need to go into it. It maybe is a spoiler, but I haven't seen that whole movie because when I was watching it, my dad came home and turned it off and was like, "This isn't appropriate." And I've tried to watch it multiple times since, and then either fallen asleep or uh, people won't watch it with me. Like nobody wants to watch that movie with me. But yeah, I've seen the scene probably like 10 times and I think about it often.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, maybe just some things you're not meant to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have given up. I haven't tried for the past couple of years
There's a Saw movie I never finished because I passed out in the middle of it.
because it was scary.
I've never been one to be squeamish around like horror movies or anything. It was a really weird situation. I was at work. I used to work at a pizza place, and I think it was Saw 3. I'm not super familiar with
You
the
were
Saw.
watching Saw 3 at your pizza
Yeah,
job?
yeah. There's like a little TV up there where Saw 3 was playing, and I can't verify if it's Saw 3. It's whichever one has the skull surgery. There's a scene with skull surgery, and I'm a pretty big buff when it comes to like really bad B horror movies and that sort of thing. Like I really
That
like
makes
it,
sense to
really
me.
silly and yeah. Thank you, appreciate it. That's my visceral side coming out. And I thought the movie up until this point was like really ridiculous and preposterous, and I just thought it was generally like kind of funny. Like there's lots of videos and content out there, sort of like debunking certain like mazes and tricks in the series. Like, well, why wouldn't you just do fucking X or Y or Z? It just seems so stupid. But then there was a part where there was like brain surgery, and I was excited. Like they were teasing toward this brain surgery like forever, and I was excited to see it because I thought it was going to look so fake. And then like it came on the TV, and the last thing that I remember is thinking like, wow, that looks like really real. And then everything in my eyes just went gray. And then before I knew it, I was like being picked up, and like, people around were like yelling. It was like, oh my God, he passed out. What's going on with him? And it was just, and I don't think I'm just not meant to finish it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe if you get like really bored in like 20 years and you just want to feel something,
Yeah.
you can go finish
Or if
it.
I'm having a hard time getting to sleep, just put it on then too.
Well, to each their own. Couldn't be me.
Next question from LaDanny Theo. This is an interesting one. Considering your connections with Julian and Phoebe. They're asking, what are your favorite songs from their two latest records that have just come out, or their tracks off of those two LPs that you've gravitated toward?
I don't want to be biased, but favor on Julian's record. That verse about picking the bug out of the grill of the car and being tender towards like a bug, but not letting yourself be tender towards a person is just like so good. Also Song in E, very good. Phoebe, I feel like I Know the End is like a Julian called it like musical theater masterpiece. But I don't know. I feel like I have different favorites from that record all the time.
And there's no one that I could point to honestly, but there's like probably I've gotten quite a few questions, like maybe slightly more questions than we sometimes get for some of our guests. And there's like a dozen Boygenius questions here. So if you could like,
I mean, that's my favorite band. So
obviously, umbrella address any questions, or I guess like the question I guess would be sort of like,
I feel like I know.
what is the fate of Boygenius as of right now. And I personally, I'll say before you answer, I feel like we need to give it time. You know, it's like we've just all had albums out. We're coming back out of a panini. We might not jump right back into Boygenius, you know? So it's like
Yeah.
maybe people need to give it a sec, but I don't know if that's how you feel.
I would say none of y'all's business
Ooh,
overall.
okay.
Just kidding. We have a thriving group chat. I just pulled up the group chat to see if there's anything funny I could show you, but let me just scroll. There are usually a lot of memes, but not
I
as
was
many
just
memes.
gonna fucking ask you. Are there a lot of memes in the Boygenius group chat?
There's usually plenty, and I don't know why we've just been talking recently. I'm gonna let them know that we're really failing. Yeah, I've scrolled a lot and I can't find a recent meme. That's upsetting.
Wow.
But yeah, we are friends. So
Yeah.
we talk and I don't know, we have all just made records and
Right.
wanted to like make space for all of us to be able to do that, and who knows, if it happens it has to be like as fortuitous as it was before, I think.
You know, considering what you were just saying before I grab another question here, uh, even though you can't, you know, you haven't scrolled and just found the most recent one that you were kind of referring to, like in recent memory, what is the dankest meme anybody shared, or who's sharing honestly, and you could flex on this if you want.
Okay.
Who's sharing the best memes? Like who's digging up the best original content in the Boygenius chat?
I feel like we each have our own special
Meme specialty?
type type of memes. I feel like where the hell there's gotta be some. Oh, I'll just go to see all. Damn. Well, this isn't a meme, but this is a whale's tooth.
Well, that's it. Well, who shared that
That's
though?
interesting.
Who
I shared
oh,
that.
you shared that. Okay.
I'm sharing the whale's
You're
tooth.
sharing the whale's
I feel like Julian's always sharing like really wordy, word heavy memes.
Lots of text.
Whereas like Phoebe's doing like kind of like sexy, edgy, stupid memes. And I'm probably sending whale's teeth or like dummy shit. Definitely dummy shit. Also, people tend to like tag us whenever there's a picture of three things. People will tag like, is this Boygenius? And occasionally they'll be like very funny and we'll send them to each other like who's who. And we'll basically do what everyone else does and try to decide who is who. Yeah, it's cute.
You know, maybe this is sort of an area where you can start like experiment with start experimenting with being more visceral. You know, just like find some of the most ridiculous memes out there and just throw them in the chat and just see what happens.
Yeah, I just found this meme account. Maybe I'll just say it. It's this guy Rihan, and I think he's fully serious. It's RIHAN underscore 78, and it's just brilliant.
And is this on Instagram?
Yeah, like
Are these like motivational sayings?
yes,
Oh, okay.
it's like it's all, and like he doesn't have very many followers.
Okay. This is
You are the artist of your life. Don't give paintbrush to anyone else.
Oh shit. That's dope.
It's very deep.
If you want to like a dank inspirational, I mean he's pretty popular, but have you followed on Instagram Big Time Tommy?
No.
No, oh, he's great. He's a big old Italian. He's a big
Tommy.
old Italian meatball. He smokes big cigars, and he comes on with his raspy little voice. And the guys in the band Black Midi are big fans of him as well. And
Big Time Tommy?
Big Time Tommy, Tommie, maybe.
Okay.
Big Time Tommy, and he comes on, and he's like, "My thought of
This
the day,
man?
that man, that big, beautiful cigar smoking man, thought of the day." Fuck negativity. OS for life. He's Big Time Tommy.
Wow.
Yeah. No, check him
Shout
out.
out Italians, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, definitely. Where?
Are you Italian?
Yeah. Yeah, we're struggling in the meme space. Sorry, you've actually called me.
The stutter.
You called me out. This was actually a covert way of me advancing Italians in the meme space.
Yeah.
We're struggling right now. There's not a lot of Italian representation in the meme space.
Well, you won the Euro Cup.
Yeah.
And beat out England. That's pretty good.
I mean, that was to be expected. There was never a doubt in my mind that would happen because I'm Italian. I never thought it would be any other way. Like, how could, were we going to lose to a bunch of tea drinkers?
Your
No.
Italian pride is like swelling exponentially. I feel like we opened a door that I would just as soon close.
Yeah, no, I apologize for getting crazy with it, but I didn't think it was going to be any other way.
Uh-huh.
All right, Antarctic Neo. We just have so many. We have so many demands in these questions. A lot of these questions are actually just demands. I feel like your audience is holding you hostage over here. They're asking, how do you dare not release Triple Dog Dare and expect depression rates not to rise?
Ooh.
Do you take any, responsibility for the depression rates going up on account of the non-release of that song?
I don't know about that. A lot of people tag me like, you have to pay for my therapy now.
Wow.
And I'm like, I wish I could. Honestly, I wish therapy was paid for. If I ever like hit the big time, well, that's one thing that I would like to do. I have a different goal. I'm not going to pay for your therapy, but I do think therapy rocks, and I think that you shouldn't have to pay for it either.
Yeah, if you ever hit it like Jay-Z big, basically
that will never happen.
let it roll, let it come together. The buy off politicians and pay them to advance legislation for free therapy.
I don't want to talk to politicians.
No, you would start a super PAC or something, or just like some kind of lobbying group. You wouldn't call anybody. You wouldn't have anything to do with it yourself personally, because that's too close. You don't want your fingerprints on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't trust a politician. Any one of them.
Well, of course, because you haven't paid them yet. They're not your servants yet. You need to pay.
Yeah, that's true.
To pay them first. As soon as you pay them,
you need to get rich quick and then buy all the politicians.
Right. Exactly. I
didn't even like saying that. I didn't even like repeating that. That felt weird in my mouth.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah. It takes a certain kind of person. Probably the kind of person who, is a billionaire that gets in a space race right now.
Yeah. Just let's not talk about it. I hate every one of them.
Okay. Yeah. No, me too. All right. Anything not depressing you want to end this interview off on, so that we're not talking about billionaires and their rockets?
My brother just texted me, "What's a whale tooth?" He's obviously watching this.
Oh, okay.
Charlie Dacus. He's great. Yes, our names are Lucy and Charlie, like the Peanuts.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's cute to say.
Do you know what kind of whale that tooth was from?
Humpback whale.
Okay.
I went on a whale watch and I saw a baby whale. Oh, this is great. This is great to talk about.
Okay, good.
There was a baby whale that breached like 50 times and it was being so playful, and it was swimming with its fin out of the water, like waving. It was really hype. It breached with its belly up. It breached with its belly back. It breached with its tail just kind of like out of the water. So that was really cute.
And the source of the tooth was it already on the boat, or was it just like out and about in the water?
They passed it around so that you would know. It's made out of the same stuff as your fingernails.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like,
how messed up is that?
Just like bone.
Wait, I have something incredible to say about ants.
Okay.
How old do you think an ant can be?
How old do I think, like the lifespan of just an ant? Oh, wow. Okay. I think people assume with most bugs it's like a matter of weeks or days, but I don't know, maybe a year for an ant?
30 years.
No fucking way.
Not all ants.
Yeah.
The queens can be up to 30 years old, like 15 to 30 years old is semi-regular. Like a regular, like maybe the ant in your house is like a couple of years old, but still.
Right.
That long.
That's pretty crazy.
That has ruined my life ever since I heard that. And so now I've ruined all of yours. Whenever you see an ant, you'll be thinking, "Oh, this ant is maybe like 10 years old. I was 10 years old once."
Sorry, I'm tempted now. I have to really fucking ruin everyone's day with a bug fact that recently ruined my life. So now
Okay.
I have to ruin everyone's shit with it. So figs. Are you aware of how figs are pollinated?
Oh, I was once aware and I already know that I blocked it out.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sad I'm gonna find out again.
Yeah, yeah. There's a specific species of wasp that pollinates the fig, and there's a hole in the bottom of the fig, and there's like a male and a female, and they sort of like crawl in there, and the female comes out, and the male dies in there. But the thing is, like, the fig essentially digests the male wasp, and the male wasp just sort of like spends its entire life cycle inside the fig, and it just sort of like dies in there. So it's not like when you crack open a fig, you're going to see the wasp or anything. It just sort of like gets eaten by the fig. And
But the
meanwhile,
wasp has become the fig.
yeah, essentially,
Damn,
because
that's how I want to go.
apparently like the flowers of the fig are in the fig. So it's like they need to be in there to do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like if I became a fig next, that'd be pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a pretty dope reincarnation. You're into
Yeah.
reincarnation, tarot. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's true. Believe in ghosts now. That's something.
That's dope.
Someone gave me a rock and told me it was really important, and so maybe I'm going to become a crystal person.
Crystals are popping off right now.
I'm wondering where are we getting all of these crystals? Anyways, I feel like maybe we should end this.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, we will right now. I think crystals is a good place
okay.
to end it. Lucy,
Okay.
you've been a fantastic guest. We appreciate you coming on and being an open book and talking about the new record, and yeah, just being amazing.
Thanks for listening. And I know you don't always like shit, so thanks for liking it. Thanks for everybody in the chat that I can't see.